Jai Hind students, myself Praveen Kumar, assistant professor in Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. And today we are going to discuss about the subject that is energy science and engineering. The subject code for this is KOE 033 for the odd sem and KOE 043 for the even sem. This is basically a open elective subject. Okay, and today we are starting with the topic that is energy and its usage. Okay, so as far as the contents of today's video lectures are concerned, I will basically discuss about the what is energy, why we require energy, then energy at its usage, then units and scales of energy use. Then I will end up my today's video lectures by discussing about different uses of energy in our daily lives. Okay. So firstly, introduction about energy. So what is energy basically? So energy is the capacity of physical system. Energy is the capacity of physical system to perform work. So energy basically is the capacity of the physical system to perform any particular work. So you can say energy exists in several forms such as heat energy. You have kinetic energy maybe. You may have mechanical energy, light energy, potential energy, electrical energy, or any other form of energy. So if we classify the main popular types of different forms of energy, so one is the mechanical energy. So basically what is mechanical energy? So it is basically define a energy which can be used to raise a weight, and another beautiful feature of the mechanical energy is that it can be easily converted into another form of energy. Okay, then second popular energy is the electrical energy. So if you talk about electrical energy, this is basically defined as the class of energy associated with the flow of accumulation of electrons. Okay, so in case of electrical energy, the charge flow from one point to another points, and that is known as electrical energy. And large quantity of electrical energy are transferred over long distance with the help of high voltage transmission lines. And basically here we are basically taking the help of transformers. We are taking help of transformers. Okay, so transformers are basically used to transmit the electrical energy from one point to another points, and this energy also can be converted into other energy form, just like you can say in light energy, or you can say AC may be run. So you can say to cool the air, to run the vehicles, just like electrical vehicles. Then the third most popular types of energy is electromagnetic energy. So basically it is defined as the form of energy which is associated with the electromagnetic radiation spectrum, and it is basically used in nuclear energy study, which we will discuss in coming lectures. So this is electromagnetic spectrum energy. Then the next popular types is the chemical energy, students. So basically it is defined as the energy that is released as the result of electron interaction. Results of electron interaction. Release as a result of electron interaction, in which you can say two or more atom, or you can say molecule, combine to produce a more stable chemical compound, and commonly reported in the unit of energy per unit mass, or you can say mole of fuel reactants. Okay, so these are the four popular types of energy: mechanical energy, electrical energy, electromagnetic energy, and chemical energy. Now if you talk about the broad classification of the source of the energy, then they are broadly classified into two categories. One is a conventional source of energy, Second one is the non-conventional source of energy, as you can say renewable source of energy. So conventional is also known as non-renewable source of energy. So conventional source of energy are those source of energy which are basically present in the natures, and the if we try to make them by human beings, they are impossible to produce, make, or you can say they take millions of years. So example of conventional source of energy is, you can say petrol, diesel, okay. So petrol, diesels, these are the examples of conventional source of energy. If you talk about non-conventional source of energy, so here we have solar, we have wind energy, okay, solar, wind energy. So you can say these are the popular types of renewable source of energy which can be generated by the human beings as per our requirements. So after we discuss about the different popular forms of energy, the next question arises, why we require energy? So why we require energy? So you can say energy is the one of the most important components of economic infrastructure, and basically it is the basic input required to sustain economic growth. Okay. So there is a direct relationship between the level of the economic development and per capita energy consumption. Or you can say, simply speaking, the more developed a country is, higher is the per capita consumption of the energy. So more developed a country, higher is the per capita consumption of the energy, and you can say other way around. So India per capita consumption of energy is only 1/8 of the global average. So this indicates basically that our country has low rate of per capita consumption of the energy as compared to developed countries just like USA and China. So you can say to do any kind of task, we require some excitation source or some source which we called energy. So this is the most important component of any kind of economic infrastructure, or you can say growth of the country. So after discussing what is energy, why we require it, the next point is energy and its usage. So basically energy is the quantitative property that must be transferred to an object in order to perform a work on, or you can say to heat the object. You can say the SI unit of energy is joule. If you talk about the energy, then its unit is joule, which is the energy transferred to an object by the work of involving it distance of 1 meter against a force of 1 Newton. So that is 1 joule, you can say. So if you talk about the common forms of energy, the common forms of energy basically are kinetic energy of moving object, or you can say the potential energy stored by an object, which is basically position in a force field, that is gravitational field, or the field may be electrical, or the field may be magnetic, or the elastic energy stored by the stretching solid objects, or it may be chemical energy which is released when a fuel is burned. So chemical energy which is released when a fuel is burned. So chemical energy is released when a fuel is burned. So the radiant energy carried by light may be, and the thermal energy due to an object temperatures also. Okay. So if you talk about the next questions arise, how to measure the energy. So energy is basically measured in terms of SI units. So here SI stands for international systems. So we have basically developed a system which is acceptable worldwide. So international system are basically MKSA systems. So in international standards, we basically use MKSA systems. So here M stand for meter, K stand for kilogram, S stand for seconds, and A stand for ampere unit. Okay, so international systems to measure the energy is SI system, that is you can say in short SI, that is S stand for system, I stand for international, and that is MKSA. M stand for meter, K for kilogram, S for second, and A for ampere unit. Okay, so if you talk about some of the popular units, then in case of electromagnetic energy, the charge is measured in term of coulomb, current is measured in term of ampere, electrostatic potential is basically measured in term of volts, resistance in ohm you can say, inductance, inductor L in inductance form, inductor that is in Henry, and the capacitance is unit is farad. Okay, so if you talk about thermal units, then it may be temperature, which can be measured in term of Kelvin. There are other scales of temperatures also, just like you have degree and Kelvin. So Kelvin is the standard units. So these are some of the MKSI, meter, kilogram, seconds, and ampere units to measure the energy. Okay, so if you talk about derived units, then energy is measured in term of joule, power is measured in term of watts, pressure is basically measured in terms of pascals, and force is basically measured in term of newtons. So we'll discuss little bit more about in the coming slides. So power. So what is power basically? Power is energy per unit time. Power is basically energy per unit time, that is dE by dt. Power is basically dE by dt. You can say energy into time inverse. So its unit is kilogram meter square per second cube, you can say. If you solve it out, then this is kilogram meter square per second cube, and 1 kilogram per meter square per 1 kilogram meter square per second cube is 1 watt. So unit is kilogram meter square per second cube. So 1 kilogram meter square per unit second is 1 watts, that is 1 joule per second. So what is pressure basically? So force per unit area, dF by dA. Force per unit area is termed as pressure, or you can say force into area inverse. So the unit of pressure is kilogram per meter per second square. Okay, so 1 kilogram per meter per second square is equal to basically 1 pascals, or that is equal to 1 Newton per meter square. So these are the power and pressure SI units. So if you talk about next point, if you talk about the different forms of energy, then a long time to discover energy conservation. So the next question arises, is the energy disappear? So the answer is no. So it can be changed from one form to another form, but it can't be disappear. Okay students, so you may convert kinetic energy to potential energy, or you may convert it into chemical energy, or you can say convert it into thermal energy or Einstein rest energy. So you can say energy can neither be created nor it can be destroyed. It can only be converted from one form of energy to another form of energy. Okay, so in fact it is a conservation of energy law. A single number characterizing a system or even each part of a system that can be traced through time, and as it flow and changes, that makes energy so important in physics concept. Okay, so if you talk about units, so all these different forms must have the same units, that is mass into length square upon time square. Okay. So if you talk about kinetic energy, so what is kinetic energy? So the energy which is basically in a moving object is known as kinetic energy. That depend on the formula is half mv square. Half, where m stand for mass of the object and v is the speed or velocity of the object. So kinetic energy defined with this formula half mv square and mass into speed square, that is m into L by t square, that is ml square by t square. So work and potential energy, that is F force into distance, this one. So potential energy, another form of energy, the potential energy. So this is given by force into distance. So its unit is meter per length square per time square. So when a force acts on a object over a distance, it work that can show up kinetic energy or be stored as a potential energy. So when a force acts on an object over a distance, then it does some kind of work that can basically show up in the form, either in the form of potential energy or in the form of kinetic energy. The object either may move or it may store some potential energy inside it. So energy conversion takes place here. Either the energy is converted into kinetic energy or it may be converted into potential energy, students. So if we measure the work done by the pressure, then that is given by P into V. Pressure into volume, that is pressure is force upon area into volume. Okay, so its unit is meter per length square per time square. And the next is thermal energy. How to measure the thermal energy? So thermal energy is basically formula is half nRT square, or you can say half capital N capital RT, and you can say half NK B, which is KB is a constant T, where basically where N is the number of moles. You can, so thermal energy per degree of freedom at temperature. Okay, where N is the capital N is the number of moles, R is the gas constants, which is basically equal to 8.31447 joule per mole per Kelvin, and capital T stand for temperatures. Small n in this one you can say, that is number of the molecules. Kb is a constant. To be specific, it is a Boltzmann constant. Value is 1.381 into 10 to the power minus 23 joule per Kelvin. And capital T is a temperature in kelvins. So if you solve it, then nRT is equal to ml square by T square. So kinetic energy of all the molecule make it appearance as heat. And one important point to note is that the mole depart from the MKS unit. It is a gram molecular weight, and the molecular weight of a compound expressed in basically grams form. Okay. So this is work done by pressures, that is pressure into volume. So another forms of popular forms of energy, the electrical energy, which we are basically encountered in our day-to-day lives. So that is given by charge into electrostatic potential, or you can say voltage. So Q here is charge and V is the electrostatic potential. So electrical energy is given by Q into V. So what is electrostatic potential? That is basically the electrical field or force, and the force does work on a charge that is moved. So now the question arises, how to measure the electrostatic potential in international standard units. So what potential do you have to move 1 coulomb of charge through a to get or lose 1 joule of energy is basically 1 volt. So 1 volt is basically equal to 1 joule upon 1 coulomb. So that is 1 watt per ampere. Okay. So that is 1 volt is equal to 1 watt per ampere. So in case of electrical energy, we have basically positive and negative two parts. So when the electrons flow from negative to positive, then current flow from opposite. So this is flow current. Here we are basically following Ohm's law, that is V is equal to IR. Voltage is equal to current into resistance, and if our object is basically, you can say, not resistive type, it is combined type, then V is equal to IZ, where Z is basically impedance. Z is given by impedance. Okay, Z is impedance, and it is basically the opposition offer to the flow of current by resistor, inductor, resistor and or inductor and or capacitor or both. Okay, R is due to only resistor, but in case of Z we have three components. We have R, then we have inductive reactance XL and capacitive reactance XC also. Okay, so this R is basically constant, but this XL and XC are basically depend on the frequency. Here XL is equal to, inductive reactance is equal to 2 pi FL, and XC, that is capacitive reactance, is basically equal to 1 by 2 pi FC, where L is the inductor in Henry, C is the capacitor in capacitance in Farad, and F is the frequency, which is 50 Hertz for AC. F is basically 50 Hertz for AC, and it is 0 Hertz for DC. Alternating current, it is 50 in India, and for direct current it is 0 Hertz in India. So this is all about electrical energy in short. The next is the quantum energy. Next form of energy is the quantum energy. So what is quantum energy? How to measure it? So quantum energy is given by this formula, E is equal to H into V, where H is basically a Planck constant, and its value is given by this formula, 6.626 into 10 raised to power minus 34 joule per second, and V is the velocity of the light. So Planck constant into velocity, V is the frequency of the light, V is the frequency of the light. So H is the Planck constant into frequency of the light. Okay, so energy of one quantum of light, that is photon, is given by this formula, H into frequency. So that comes out to be energy into time. So joule second, H is joule second, you can say. Then another one is the Einstein rest energy. This is given by E is equal to mc square. So basically this formula, this is Einstein relativity, show that the mass itself is a form of energy with the speed of light as the conversion factor. So mass is basically a form of energy, students, in which the speed of light is basically the conversion factor. E is equal to mc square. Okay, so this is brief about quantum energy. Then conversion, basically international units is BTU, where BTU stand for British Thermal Unit. British Thermal Unit. And 1 BTU basically is equal to energy required to heat 1 pound of water, that is H2O, from 60 degrees Celsius to 60 degree Fahrenheit to 61 degree Fahrenheit. So Fahrenheit is the MKSA units. So these are the 1 calorie, is SI units is 4.1868 joule. 1 Fahrenheit temperature, LB is approximately equal to 1.356 joule, and 1 British thermal unit, that is BTU, is approximate equal to 1.055 into 10 raised to power 3 joule, and 1 calorie, or you can say kilocalorie, is equal to 4.1868 into 10 raised to power 3 joule. So this is are the basically definitions. 1 calorie is the energy needed to heat 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. 1 FTLB is basically to lift 1 pound of, you can say 1 foot against earth gravity. 1 BTU is basically the energy required to heat 1 pound of water from 60 degrees Celsius, 60 degrees Fahrenheit to 61 degree Fahrenheit, students. So British thermal unit is basically the conventional units for measuring the energy. Then before we conclude our today's video lectures, last point is the different usage of energy in our day-to-day daily lives. So first one is the residential usage. So when we basically talk about the residential uses of energy, so these are the most of the basic use of energy, residential usage. They include basically watching TV, washing our clothes, heating and lightening the homes, taking a shower, working from home on your laptop or computer, running any appliances, okay, and cooking. In fact, if you are using electrical energy for that cooking purpose, then these are the residential usage. So residential usage of the energy account for almost 40% of total energy used globally. So this is very important. Residential usage basically account for 40% of the total energy used globally. So this basically figure out one of the important aspects, that if we are all self-dependent, become completely independent from the governments or government provided electrical energy, then we are become independent. So that will be done with the help of solar energy or wind energy, or you can say green source of energy, okay, because it's almost account for 40% of total energy usage in global. So waste in this category of usage also the highest globally, because we are using it for residential purpose. So we generally use here less efficient device in our house rather than in our industry. So this can be attributed to a lack of education offered to the public, you can say, on how to conserve the energy they use daily, or lack of the energy conservation product available in the markets. So if I take a very simple example, just take example of BLDC fan. BLDC fan. This is basically brushless direct current. I'm not going to technicality of this fan. You can say this kind of fan is the latest types of fan which is energy efficient. Our conventional fan, ceiling fan, basically consume around 70 to 80 watts. But these BLDC fan basically consume around 25 to 35 watts only, and they have more life because they doesn't have any rotating part. They are brushless, any brush contact with the rotor and the stator. So if we spread this kind of awareness, just like our LEDs, in past time we are basically using fluorescent lamp, simple bulb type, which are basically comes into 100 watts, 200 watts, or even 500 watts. Now the LED come, the same is energy of 100 watts is provided by 20 or 25 watts LED, light emitting diode. So if we spread the awareness in our residential areas, then definitely this waste can be reduced to greater extent. So most of the people ignore the fact that there are a venue or company and innovation available that can help them monitor and reduce the amount of energy they use. So BLDC fan basically Atomberg is a company. Atomberg. So if in future if you are planning to buy any kind of fan, then just go for the BLDC fan rather than buying a conventional fan. Its cost is around 3 0.5 to 4.5 thousands, little bit higher than the conventional fans. But if you talk about the electricity saving point of view, this is around 60%, roughly 60% saving. So after 4 or 5 years, you can say your fan is free of cost. Okay, so think a little bit long term. So on this way, we can basically conserve the energy in residential purpose, and this is 40% contribution basically. So that means we can save the energy. Second one is the commercial use. Commercial use of energy. So commercial use of energy is what energy is used for in the commercial sector. So this basically include heating, cooling, lighting, the commercial building and spaces, and power used by the company and business throughout our city. For computer, you can say fax machines, even workstation or copier, just to name but a few. So the usage of energy in the commercial space is more or less similar to the use of industrial space. In case of energy saving here, through it is targeted at the corporate world rather than at individual level. So player in the sector of energy conservation should introduce energy saving company in order to curb the energy saving campaign to in order to curb the culture of the waste present at our place of work. So spread the, just we talk about spread financial awareness, so spread energy awareness, energy conservation awareness also, so that more and more people will use greener source of energy, just like you can say solar or wind, rather than opting for the non-conventional source of energy. So this is commercial use, and the last one is the transportation. So basically energy is used in the transportation also. So it is 100% dependent on energy. Transportation is basically 100% dependent on energy, because here we require some kind of kinetic energy. That may be through, you can say, electricity, that may be through coal, that may be through petrol, that may be through diesel. Okay, that may be through steam, in steam engines, you can say. So over 70% of the petroleum usage goes into transportation sector. So just look out at the figure, 70%. So that's a very big number going to the transportation sector. So the transportation sector include all vehicles from personal car to truck to bus and motorcycles, even to two-wheelers. So it also include aircraft, trains, ships and pipelines. And the transportation sector can be very crucial or vital in the overall quest of the energy conservation. So innovations such as the introduction of more fuel efficient vehicles and development of alternative source of energy, just I have discussed, just like our electric vehicles, or you can say hybrid vehicles, for our transportation system can greatly help in saving the energy. And effort at energy conservation can be made on a global scale if we factor in the use and deal with them one by one. So if we focus on them as individual usage rather than trying to find out a solution as a whole, we will make much bigger strides in the conservation of the energy in near futures. So, okay. So transportation uses a huge amount of energy. So powering our car, boats, you can say, or planes, and getting us where we need to go. So we even transport energy source themselves. For example, delivering crops to the plants that make biodiesels and then shipping the biodiesel to the company that uses them. But how fuel for transportation created is, what is the created from, is the main questions. Either it is created from renewable source of energy or non-renewable source of energy. If it is created by renewable source of energy, then that's good, less pollutant. So global warming is not there in that case. So energy for transportation is created from a variety of source, including solar, biofuels, petroleum and more. Okay. So these are some of the references, students. So in today's lecture, we basically discuss about energy and its usage. So thank you and Jai Hind.